On May 11th, the 42nd ASEAN Summit wrapped up in East Nusa Tenggara Province, Indonesia. The summit culminated with the release of a declaration that aims to promote regional payment connectivity and facilitate local currency transactions. The declaration is designed to achieve multiple goals, including strengthening financial resilience, deepening regional financial integration, and enhancing regional value chains. The ASEAN member countries recognize the potential benefits of using local currencies and have announced their commitment to utilizing emerging opportunities to promote seamless and secure cross-border payments in the region. In support of this commitment, member states are encouraged to use local currencies for cross-border transactions within the region. Additionally, a dedicated working group will be established to study the use of local currencies in trade. The summit also represented an opportunity for Indonesia to promote the region's de-dollarization, a process that has become a global phenomenon and an economic direction. According to Ajib Hamdani, the chairman of APINDO's Economic Policy Analysis Committee, an increasing number of developing countries are reaching a consensus that de-dollarization will be an opportunity for all countries to jointly promote the establishment of a more equitable, efficient, and secure international monetary system. In Southeast Asia, de-dollarization has become a hot topic. Indonesia is making efforts to reduce its dependence on the US dollar and promote local currency transactions. The country has already achieved local currency settlements with China, Japan, Malaysia, and Thailand and is planning to cooperate with the South Korean Central Bank to achieve local currency transactions. Similarly, Malaysia has negotiated with China on using the ringgit and renminbi for bilateral trade settlements. In addition, commodities such as oil and natural gas have also begun the process of de-dollarization. For instance, on March 28th, the China National Offshore Oil Corporation and Total Energies achieved the first purchase of liquefied natural gas using the renminbi as settlement currency in the Shanghai Petroleum and Natural Gas Exchange. The deal involved LNG resources with a transaction volume of about 65,000 tons. These developments suggest that the dominance of the US dollar in global trade is being challenged. Multiple challenges face the United States, including persistent high inflation, declining market capitalization in the tech industry, and the Silicon Valley Bank crisis. Moreover, the possibility of the U.S. economy transitioning from a technical recession to a substantive recession is increasing due to the impact of the Federal Reserve's continued interest rate hikes and balance sheet reduction. In light of these developments, de-dollarization is increasingly seen as an opportunity for all countries to promote a more equitable, efficient, and secure international monetary system. As the performance of the U.S. economy faces uncertainty, the countries that heavily rely on the U.S. dollar find themselves vulnerable to its fluctuations. This realization has prompted discussions worldwide on the need to minimize the reserves of the U.S. dollar and mitigate the risks associated with its hegemony. Central banks globally have embarked on a gradual journey of reducing their holdings of the U.S. dollar, with an astounding divestment of over $450 billion in U.S. bonds in 2022 alone, as reported by the International Monetary Fund. By the fourth quarter of 2022, the U.S. dollar's share of global foreign exchange reserves had plummeted to its lowest level since 1995, standing at a mere 58.4%. In this shifting landscape, gold and other currencies have emerged as substitutes, steadily replacing the once dominant position of the U.S. dollar in official reserves across multiple nations. Central banks have responded to this transformation by increasing their purchases of gold, achieving a historic high in 2022 with a staggering 152% surge. The global economic slowdown, coupled with the Federal Reserve's extensive quantitative easing policies, pre-pandemic and the most aggressive interest rate hike process in 4 decades, unleashed a flood of liquidity that found its way back into the U.S. market. However, this surge in liquidity also ensnared many countries in a liquidity trap, compelling them to face the inevitable decision of reducing their U.S. dollar holdings. Furthermore, emerging economies have started considering the diversification of their foreign exchange reserves as a means to manage the financial risks associated with relying on a single currency. By reducing their dependency on the U.S. dollar, countries can bolster their financial independence and sustainability. Notably, Middle Eastern nations, particularly oil-producing countries like Saudi Arabia and Iraq, have joined the de-dollarization movement, with an increasing inclination towards settling transactions in Chinese yuan, thereby further accelerating the trend. The trend of de-dollarization is propelled by various factors, but at its core lies the fundamental reason of the US's abuse of monetary hegemony, which has eroded the credibility of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Geopolitical and economic considerations have prompted an increasing number of countries to explore alternatives to the US dollar, recognizing the need to diversify their currency reserves. The U.S.'s exploitation of monetary hegemony has reverberated through the world economy, posing a significant threat to global financial security. Manipulation of the US dollar interest rate allows the US to shift its risks onto the global financial market. The Federal Reserve's persistent interest rate hikes to combat high inflation have resulted in a sharp surge in the US dollar interest rate and its corresponding exchange rate, significantly impacting the borrowing costs of emerging markets and developing nations. Consequently, many of these economies have witnessed a staggering increase in debt levels, with governments reaching record-high debt levels, pushing some countries to the brink of bankruptcy. On the flip side, the US dollar has become a weaponized tool in the hands of the US government, allowing unilateral imposition of sanctions. For instance, in the aftermath of the Russia-Ukraine conflict escalation, the US froze tens of billions of dollars in Russia's foreign exchange reserves and deployed financial nuclear weapons by excluding Russia from the SWIFT international settlement system, severely restricting its international financial transactions. Similarly, freezing nearly $9.5 billion in assets of the Central Bank of Afghanistan was justified under the guise of preventing the Taliban from accessing funds. These actions have triggered concerns and alarm among numerous countries, as the crises and risks arising from dollar hegemony become increasingly apparent. The trend of de-dollarization is expected to gain further momentum. The US must come to terms with the fact that its behavior has severely undermined the stability of the global financial market. It is imperative for the US to collaborate with other nations to foster the reform of the international monetary system, recognizing the repercussions of its actions. The US should take proactive steps to rectify the situation and promote a more balanced and inclusive financial landscape that accommodates the interests of all nations. In this era of evolving economic dynamics, countries are compelled to safeguard their financial independence and sovereignty. Reducing dependence on a single currency like the US dollar becomes a vital strategic move in achieving these objectives. The trend of de-dollarization signifies a paradigm shift in the global financial order, where countries are seeking to diversify their currency reserves, explore alternative settlement mechanisms, and forge new economic partnerships. As the world embraces this transformative path, it is incumbent upon the US to acknowledge the ramifications of its actions and engage in constructive dialogue with other nations. By fostering cooperation and actively participating in the reform of the international monetary system, the US can contribute to a more stable, resilient, and inclusive global financial architecture that serves the interests of all countries. The evolving landscape of de-dollarization requires a collaborative effort from nations worldwide to ensure the development of a sustainable and equitable financial framework. Through mutual understanding, dialogue, and concerted action, the international community can pave the way for a more balanced and resilient global economy that minimizes the risks associated with monetary hegemony and fosters shared prosperity for all.
Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing for more content. Take care.